Hey everyone, Dr. Frunke here with a really highly anticipated knife consult. I've had this knife now for a few weeks, maybe even close to a couple of months, so I've spent some time thinking about what I want to say about it. And that's really important because this is the Chris Reeve Knives Small Sebenza 21. What can I add to the information that's already out there? The Chris Reeve Knives Sebenza 21 has got to be one of the most highly reviewed knives across YouTube. This is just going to be another in a series of much better videos about this knife. So I'm not going to dwell on a whole lot here. I'm not going to add a whole lot of information, but I do want to give my thoughts on the knife. And while they might be somewhat controversial, I need you to understand that I have a deep respect for these knives. I know that this was one of the earliest and greatest folding knives. And it represents the American dream, basically. So Chris Reeve comes over from South Africa. He starts a company over there and he brings it to the U.S., he brings it to Idaho, and he makes a legendary product that's respected across the world. So I respect and honor the tradition that goes into this. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into this knife and talk about it a little bit. So this, as you'll notice right off the bat, is the knifeart.com special edition, the full carbon fiber version. And I love these knives. I actually had a Sebenza 25 carbon fiber. That was one of the earliest knives in my collection. I never got to make a video on it because I sold it before I started my channel, but I adored that knife. I ended up selling it for the same reasons that I'll discuss later in this video. But it's a great knife. This has a 2.94-inch blade, at least of cutting length here. That makes it legal in most areas that need a sub 3-inch knife, and that's what the beauty of this knife is all about. It's meant to be the perfect user, the perfect knife, basically, for all situations that this could be used for. And a small knife, you're not going to get a whole lot better than this. That S35 VN blade is hollow ground, as we know all Sebenzas are, and we know S35 VN has a special meaning in the Chris Reeve world. He helped to develop that with crucible powdered metals. So super nice blade. It came extremely sharp. I know that there's some complaints out there about the sharpening and the bevels on here, but the bevels are immaculate on this knife, and it is just crazy sharp. And that wonderful hollow grind allows you to just slice through whatever. It's going to work perfectly in all everyday tasks. This is a classic drop point design. You just can't go wrong with the blade on any Sebenza. You are not going to be disappointed by the cutting performance. And keeping that hollow grind on the 21s, you know, that's a nice thing right there. They went with the sort of mixed hollow and flat grind on the 25s and the Insingo, so you can still get these thin slicers. This comes in with 0.15-inch blade stock right here, and so it's nice. Nice and thin, not quite as thick as some of the other bigger knives out there. Got a little bit of jimping you can see right here, perfectly functional. It's that closely spaced jimping that provides excellent traction with no hot spots. It has the thumb stud. Now, this is one of my least favorite parts of Chris Reeve knives, is that darn thumb stud. I really wish that they would redesign that after so long and after so many complaints, at least offer a different design, because it's not very comfortable. It stabs into your finger. It doesn't really allow you to do a whole lot of the maneuvers you want to do. You can flip it open, even though they tell you not to. I just probably voided the warranty on this knife. Like I'll ever need it, then this knife is going to be one of the best knives you're ever going to have. It's solid, it's well built, and it's got a very strong reputation. In any case, it runs on, as we know, phosphor bronze washers with their special lube on the inside. And it has silver hardware everywhere, strong, beautiful hardware, all matching. And then, of course, on the front here on the handle, you have this beautiful carbon fiber. These Knife Art exclusive carbon fibers are my favorite of all of them. Honestly, they come in at such a nice price point. And I prefer these to even the graphic design ones, just because it's so simple to look at, and it brings an actual functional importance there when you see how light this knife is. 2.4 ounces, super lightweight knife right here, and it's even lighter with that carbon fiber. You gotta love that. So I think having that carbon fiber takes the small Sebenza into that next level of small light carry, and I really love that. Now, of course, it's got the CRK pocket clip, which everyone has come to know and love. A perfect spring clip, and it has the perfect amount of tension, and it works really well. A little complaint, this does stick out a little bit, so watch it if you're going to your car. This is, this can scrape paint. This can scrape a lot of things. Of course, they've done the bead blast finish, which they do on all of their knives. I'm sort of also not a huge fan of it because it shows wear very quickly, but something about these CRKs, when they show a lot of wear and you see one that's well used and well loved, there's something about it. I think that's kind of why they do it, so that they can show who the real users are versus who the non-real users are. And I have only lightly carried this. This knife actually belongs to my good buddy Nico at todaysgrail_tomorrow's beater on Instagram and here on YouTube. So thank you to him for sending this through me. So I'm not going to use it heavily, but I have carried it a few times. I've definitely cut some things with it, and it does work beautifully. Now, I had someone complain that I'm not talking more scientifically about I've cut some stuff with it, but I mean, I've opened boxes, I've cut tape, I've cut some food with it. I've done enough things to understand how this thing is going to perform, and of course it's perfect. So I don't have a whole lot to add. Again, you can't get much better than the Chris Reeve knife Sebenza in any sort of quality of any knife. This is going to be better than 99% of the small knives that are out there in every single regard. The only thing that this knife lacks, and it's the reason that I don't have a Chris Reeve in my collection, and it's the reason that I sold my 25, is that it's just so good it's not exciting. It's built so well and it's built so purposefully that it takes some of the excitement out of it for me. You see how you have to deploy it like that? The thumb stud number one is annoying because you have to deploy it like this. It's designed so that you deploy it in a very meaningful and smooth fashion like that. The thumb stud is annoying, but you have to open it that way. They even say it's not meant to flip open, so when you do that, you're like hurting your warranty or you're making somebody mad at the factory. So I just feel a bit uncomfortable like that. It just, for whatever reason, it feels slow, it feels clunky, and it feels old. Let's be real here. In the modern market, we have all of these knives that are coming out from these production manufacturers, ball bearing flippers, titanium frame locks. Everything is perfect. Everything is smooth. Everything is made to super high tolerances. You have all of these other companies coming out with these newer generations of the frame lock. It's got the flipper. It's buttery smooth. It's got a carbon fiber scale that's even better done. And they're coming in at the same price point or considerably lower. All those ZTs cost less than this knife. This will run you somewhere in the $400 to $500 range, so it's expensive. I know that it's American made, but so is a ZT. So is a Koenig Arius that you can get at around $500 if you were to compare it to the large Sebenza. So for me, Chris Reeve knives are a piece of history. They are monolithic in their excellence and their design and their function. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the Sebenzas. I sit late at night and I look at the knife art in Cosi all the time, and I get so close to buying it, it's not even funny. But I just hold back because I know that there's going to be some newer, interesting, more fun knife to play with. Now, I'm a collector of the sort that I like interesting knives. You saw a few of them in my collection. I like to have these kind of neat, unique, interesting knives here. I'm sorry, I hit my own camera. That have some sort of design element to them that make them a little bit interesting. They're fun to play with. They kind of look a little bit crazy. And, I look for that in the knives in my collection. So I may not be the best judge of this knife in that sense. This is like buying a pickup truck when you're into Corvettes. I don't really know how to describe it, but much better than that. But it is a perfect workhorse. You are not going to go wrong. If you are on the fence about buying one of these, if you've never owned one, you must own a Sebenza at some point in your knife collecting days so you understand how well it's made and how to do a good knife perfectly. So those are my thoughts on this knife. A nice little EDC knife, the perfect EDC knife, let's be honest, but just a little bit boring for the Frunky collection, but you'll probably see another Chris Reeve in my collection sometime in the future just because they're undeniably good. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Click like and subscribe here to my YouTube channel. Go over to Instagram and check me out at Dr. Frunky. And as always, guys, take care.